The Dark Knight trilogy is without question one of the greatest superhero trilogies of all time. And of course, there are statue companies that have made incredible 1/3 scale statues from 3 different companies. Well, today we're going to compare and contrast them and figure out which one is the best. That's up next. Friends, and welcome back once again to Brotherhood of the Bat Collectibles. We are a collecting channel where we do high-end statue collecting reviews, unboxing, statue chats, live content like Rogues Gallery Live, and so much more. My name's Chris. I'm the Batman statue collector, and we are going to be talking about Batman today because I recently had a viewer reach out to me and say, hey Chris, with all of the great Dark Knight Batman statues out there, why don't you give your thoughts? Why don't you compare and contrast price points, likeness, and all of that good stuff from 3 different companies? We've had companies like Prime One Studio. We've also had Queen Studios, which is a piece that I personally own. And also we have a piece brand new now from JND. And so I thought it would be interesting to talk about price points, talk about likeness, and which maybe gets you the best bang for your buck, if that makes sense. Because again, there are some really great choices out there. Now, some of these are getting harder to find now because they've been out for a bit, like the Prime One piece. Queen Studios just kind of started to roll out, and of course, JND won't be out for another year or so. But without further ado, let's kind of dive into the differences, and I'll share my thoughts and opinions on it. All right, guys, so here we go, and we're going to be looking at each individual company and their product first, and then, of course, we're going to compare and contrast the major parts of these statues. Now, what we're looking at first here is the 1/3 scale Batman, of course, Christian Bale, and this one is very impressive to me. There are things, of course, about it that drive me nuts. One thing, obviously, is he's a little bit bulky. He looks a little thick, and that was people's complaint, I think, right off the bat, no pun intended. But I do feel like the jaw, the cowl itself looks very, very much like Christian Bale. So that's a big win there. Also, I like with this one, unlike the other companies, you can swap out or, change up the look of the statue with what direction he's looking. The other statues are just looking dead ahead. And so that is a nice option as well. Obviously, the armor looks pretty good to me. I don't know if it's 100% accurate. Again, I'm not an expert. It's just, what I know from the movie. But it does look really good overall to me. I thought this pose was a little bit boring, quite frankly. But I still think it's an impressive piece. And another thing that makes it impressive are all the swap outs. The other statue companies do not offer any swap outs. So the Prime One piece, there's a lot of value here in terms of what you're getting. Obviously, a lot of different poses, a lot of different looks. But again, the pose to me definitely could have been a little bit more dynamic, and I feel like that is where this one maybe lacks a little bit. It's just not as exciting of a statue. Now, I do really like the cape here. I feel like this is the most screen accurate cape from any of the companies. I think it is very, very well done. It has that velvety material on the outside, a little different on the inside, but I think it is definitely the most screen accurate without a doubt. The base, I didn't love this base at the time, although it's grown on me a little bit. It's nice with the snow effect. And again, this is from Rises, but the base is what it is. And then, of course, you have the Christian Bale portrait. This was part of the exclusive here, and I think it looks pretty darn good overall, but is it the best one so far? Okay, let's switch gears to Queen Studios. Now, there's kind of a hodgepodge of photos because the way that it was photographed in the promo stuff is different than what we actually got in certain areas. Overall, I think this statue is very good. This is one that I personally bought and own, but I don't think that is Christian Bale's chin. I just don't feel like they did a very good job with the chin. Overall, the statue still looks good. I think the armor looks good. I like that he is slimmed down more than the Prime One piece. I know that there are some issues. Some people don't like certain elements of the armor. I think it looks fine. It doesn't photograph all that well. Again, these are my photos, but in person, guys, it looks just so much better here. I do feel like there are some things again about this. The cape is a kind of a nylon-y stretchy material. I think it looks great in person, although it's not screen accurate. Another thing that is not screen accurate is the color of the belt. Again, it's not something that bothers me too much, but it is not as dark of a gold as, in my opinion, it should have been. I feel like Prime 1 again did a better job with that particular part of the sculpt, but the rest of it looks really, really good. I think, just again, for me, there's so much detail, so much, that looks accurate to me, and overall, I'm just really, really impressed. I mean, look at the texturing on the leather of the boot. It's just that very, very good detail that Queen Studios put into this thing, and again, I'm very impressed with it. Again, here is that portrait. I do think the eyes look great. Some people were mad that they're kind of looking up, but that makes the pose more dynamic. I think the pose is definitely better than the Prime 1 piece, in my opinion. And then, of course, you do have the unmasked portrait. Now, again, what they did with their teaser, their promo, their pre-order, doesn't look as good as this. So I updated, these were some other collector photos. Again, it might not be the best photos in the world, but it gives us kind of an idea of what it turned out like. Obviously, the price point here, the Prime 1 piece I forgot to mention was a little over $1,000. This for the regular is a little around $1,000, but it's more expensive with the extra portraits, obviously. The base is kind of a bat emblem, which you don't necessarily see from the back, but it is kind of a modern futuristic look. Overall with that particular base. And again, I'll dive into that when we compare and contrast here in just a moment. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, we have the JND piece. Now, this piece looks phenomenal. There are certain elements that I think blow everything else out of the water. I do think the pose looks very good, although it looks very, very similar to the Queen Studios piece. Obviously, the base is maybe a little bit more boring. It is just kind of a standard looking base. I also don't think the cape is correct here. I still think that the cape is better on the Prime 1 piece. But again, the pose is just nearly identical to the Queen Studios, which I was a little surprised that they did. But it is what it is. It kind of lets you see, which company do you think is better. I do think the gold here looks more accurate on the JND piece, very similar to the Prime 1 piece. I think both of those are correct in terms of color. That jaw right there, that is Christian Bale. That is what the Queen Studios piece, I wanted it to look like. It is definitely an upgrade. It is definitely an improvement here. And then, of course, you have the unmasked portrait. And again, I do think that this looks absolutely phenomenal. Now, there are two different options with the JND. So the JND, just the Batman alone, is $2,400. Okay, and the combo piece is $3,600. So again, I think the likeness looks very good. There is some texturing things that people have noticed. They feel like it makes him look a lot older, and I would tend to agree with that. I do think it looks really, really good. You could definitely tell who it is. Some people have said, some other, like Sam Rockwell or some other things like that. And I can see that a little bit, but it does look like Christian Bale to me, but it just looks like he's super aged because of the texturing on his face. And so I just wish they could smooth that out a little bit, and I think that would maybe then be a home run, although they are saying that this is already sold out within minutes. So we'll see. I also really like that they added the extra headstand. I think that looks better than the Queen Studios. The Queen Studios was kind of a stylized stand, but that's kind of more of the suit torso. So again, I just think that looks really, really great. I think the J&D piece is definitely an upgrade to some of those other pieces. Now, with that said, let's look at all three side by side here. Prime 1, Queen Studios in the middle, and then J&D here at the end. Now, overall, I think they all look fantastic. Again, I really kind of like that slim down look. Probably body-wise, I like the body of the J&D the best. I think that looks the best. I think it looks the more accurate. It's not too skinny. It's not too wide like the Prime 1 piece. But Again, I just think that is the best looking one to date. So I'm definitely going to award the body here to J&D. I think that's really, really well done. We can also talk about price points, and I'm going to do that at the end. Whenever I pick my winner here, the one I think is the best, I'm going to talk about price points, because the price definitely could affect which one I think that you should pick up, which one I think is the clear-cut winner. Because, price is definitely a factor whenever you have three really good looking statues, So again, let's move on to the portraits here. Now the portraits, obviously you have, again, Prime 1, Queen Studios in the middle, and J&D. For me, personally, again, now this, could be bad photos or whatever, but for me, the winner here is the J&D piece, but Prime 1 is second to me. Queen Studios is third place here. I do really like the JND, but again, going back to my point earlier, I think it looks more like Christian Bale, but it looks way too old to me. It looks wrinkled. Again, I don't know if it's over textured or what, but for me, that is where my opinion lies. I feel like the Prime 1 piece is still very, very good. Again, it is silicone. I'm sorry, it is not silicone, and neither is the Queen Studios piece. I'm sorry, the JND is the only silicone piece. So again, that might bother some of you that are concerned about silicone, but again, I think that the level of detail is just really, without question, I think that's really well done overall. Not perfect, but well done. Then, of course, we also have the bases. Let's talk a little bit about those. Now, again, the J&D piece has a very simplistic base. That might turn some collectors off. They want something a little bit more dynamic, although it does look classy. So, you know, if you have the lineup of other statues from them and they all look the same, then that's fine. I do like the more modern look of the Queen Studios base. I think that looks like the tumbler, and so for me, that's my favorite base. Again, the backside's kind of wasted because you don't really see it. I don't love the Prime 1 piece base, really, although it does have some storytelling elements, which I appreciate. But for me, the Queen Studios base wins here. But there are too many Batman logos on it. I'm just going to be honest. There's too many, in my opinion. Okay, so which one do I feel is the winner? I feel, again, overall, the best piece is the J&D. Okay, but the price point at $2,400, whereas the Queen Studios in the middle was around $1,000, a little less, and the Prime 1 Studio was a little over $1,000. So is the J&D piece, just by himself without that Bruce Wayne head, is it worth $2,400? Is it worth another, $1,400 more? In my opinion, the answer is no. I don't think it is worth it whenever you have three that are very, very comparable. If I was going to suggest one, and just for the value and all the swap outs, I would probably give the winner here to the Prime 1 piece, just because it has more swap outs, it's a good price point, and also, of course, it has that Christian Bale chin. It looks more like Christian Bale than the Queen Studios piece does. I still love my Queen Studios piece, but if I had to choose, I would award the winner to Prime 1 because of the great Bale likeness in the cowl portrait, the swap outs, and the price point. I do overall prefer the J&D piece, though, although I just feel like it is a lot more money for what you're getting with the other pieces, if that makes sense. Like, I just feel like at $2,400 for the combo, that combo with the Bruce Wayne is $3,600, guys, $3,600 again. So again, to me, the best value, the best likeness goes down to the Prime 1 piece. I really love my Queen Studios, like I said, but the only big downfall for me is the gold color belt, and also, of course, the chin just doesn't look enough like Bale to me. Again, J&D piece looks great, but the winner, in my opinion, is the Prime 1 piece. All right, guys, so you've now heard my thoughts and opinions on these pieces, so I'm going to turn it over to you. Which one do you like the best? Which one do you think has the best likeness? And which one do you think is the best value for your buck? I do think that they're all really, really great, and they all have really great hits. They all have a little bit of misses, though, in my opinion. And so is there the perfect Dark Knight Batman out there? I'm going to say not quite yet, in terms of maybe it's too expensive, or maybe it's just the likeness isn't quite there. So what I would personally like to see from a company doing a 1/3 scale statue is something more dynamic. They're all the same. They're all static. They're all kind of this museum pose. And yes, there is a little bit of, his arms hulking forward, but they all look just about identical. I want something very dynamic. I want something like him kind of crouched down in like a fighting pose. We saw Christian Bale do a number of promo shots. I would love to see something like that from some companies. And again, it's not, crazy to think that somebody could do it, but I would love to see, and I'm going to challenge some of these statue companies to make this character. Of course, Prime 1 did the Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Rises, so maybe they could do a Dark Knight proper, or even, this is the big one, everybody wants a Batman Begins. So who's going to be the first company to do that in terms of 1/3 scale? Of course, Sideshow is giving a great one, but again, some people don't like the pose. Again, he's kind of that hulking forward pose again. And so I'm curious as to what you guys think. Would you want a Batman Begins suit? I know I would. I think it'd be really cool to complement, like, you know, I have my Queen Studios piece. It'd be really cool to have another one flanking him. But anyway, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. What do you guys think? Again, all three are really good, but all three, in my opinion, missed the mark just slightly. But I do want to turn it over to you. So anyway, that's my thoughts and opinions on this. Thank you guys so very much for checking out the video today. If it is your first time watching, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and click that notification bell. Make sure you choose all. That way you don't miss any of this content. And of course, if you want to take it one step further, you can hit the join button down below for early access to our videos, or you can also support us on Patreon. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I'll see you next time right here in the Batcave. Bye, everybody. Hey guys, thank you so very much for watching today, and if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button right here on the screen and check out these two awesome videos. I think you're going to love them. And also please join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I would love to have you join in all the fun. Thank you guys so very much for watching. See you in the Batcave.